Hey there, it's Lacy J here to ask you to go to spacebearmedia.com right now to access all our content, buy yourself some merch, and most importantly, send us a message, the latter of which we'll reply to on our newly revamped weekly pre-shows, where we have as many fun segments as we do on the audio pod. There are current events with Christy, corrections and observations with Ben, and as always, questions with Derek. Plus, I have new fun facts and tell a terrible fucking joke every single week. Please join us, and please consider rating and reviewing us on your favorite app or recommending us to a friend who loves Lost. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's season 3, episode 3 of Lost in My 40s. We're talking about further instructions. It's a Locke episode. It's a Christy episode. And Happy New Year, everybody. Yay.
Merry New Year.
Actually, to be truthful, this episode we are recording at the end of October, and so I don't know if it's going to be a Happy New Year yet because we haven't gotten to the midterm elections.
Right.
It could be really depressing in the next few weeks. So we'll see. Anyways, Happy New Year in real time. Couple things. I got a couple shout outs. I have recently started listening to season 2 of Lost the Plot with our friends Ado and Dave. They were shouting us out at the beginning of season 2, so I'm shouting them back out. And I hope you guys loved their episode in season 2, because they are coming back for season 3. They will be here this season. Second shout out of the day, you guys, if you'd like to be in a community full of Lost fans, go to Facebook and go to the group Lost Shambhala. They have welcomed us there very nicely. I have been a member of the group for a while as just myself. And then I did ask an admin if it would be okay to promote our podcast. I did so. The podcast Facebook page has also joined the group now. And they asked if we'd give a shout out. So here I am. It's a great group. They talk about all things Lost all day, every day. The show that will never, ever die.
Woohoo, Lost Shambhala.
Yes, so as far as the group name, Lost Shambhala, I cannot go too far into what that name means because it has not happened yet in the show, and we, of course, have Derek. But Shambhala is a song by Three Dog Night, which will make an appearance in season 3. Stay tuned for episode 10. Trisha Tanaka is dead. That is when this song will appear, and it is what the group is named after. So we will bring that up again in episode 10. I think that's it for shout outs and Happy New Year's. Ben Jammin, can you please tell us where our power rankings ended up after the first 2 episodes of season 3?
Yeah, we had Sawyer on top.
Yeah.
I took a sip of coffee so I couldn't say giggity, and I just made that noise instead.
Sawyer sweating on top, smelling of menthol cigarettes and Slim Jims.
Coconut oil.
And then Juliet.
How many points does he have?
I don't have the points in front of me.
Oh, okay. Well,
I just have the places right now. Yeah.
Places then. Second place, we have Dearest Juliet.
Juliet, and then Kate in third place.
I love it. That's a foursome waiting to happen.
Yeah, at the bottom.
Meaning the 3 of them and me.
At the bottom of the barrel, we've got Jack. Yeah.
Shocker.
And then behind him, Mr. Peck, Mr. P, whatever. I can never.
Mr. P is good.
Mr. P works.
Yeah, Mr. P. And then old Danny boy.
Fuck you, Danny.
Yeah.
And your stupid jeans.
Danny with his Bugle Boy jeans. And his
mom jeans.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, Christy, let's get some further instructions, shall we?
All right. So we are back at day 68 again on the island. We've returned to the same time frame as episode 1, kind of like they did in season 2. And the episode,
Yeah. So, in season 2, we jumped back to Adrift, right? And so we were with the backenders for a little bit, and then we are back on the raft, and now we're with the others, and then back to the camp. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting considering the opening moments of the show too. Like the season 3 is very much mirroring the beginning of season 2.
Yes. And it very much mirrors the very beginning of pilot part 1 because the episode opens on Locke's bloody eye. He's lying on the jungle floor. And as the camera pulls back, we can see he's like in the exact same position that Jack was in the pilot's first moments.
Right.
So he looks over and he sees a buck-naked Desmond running by.
Yeah.
You see my pants, brother?
Yeah, you come run this way, Desmond. I'll help you out.
Yeah. So he tries to call out to him, but suddenly he has no voice. So he stands up, and just as he stands up, Echo's Jesus stick falls from the sky and like hits him.
Right in the head.
Yeah. He
So you're
picks it
saying
up. Yeah.
a white man feels disenfranchised that he has no voice, so he turns to religion.
Oh my God.
Is that what's happening here?
Yes.
Am I watching too much politics stuff lately?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so Locke picks up the stick and he's looking at the scriptures. So the part of it that we can see, there are 2 ways to read this. If you read it like you're reading the Bible,
Which I don't.
Right. But
Close to what's the other way? No, sorry.
it says, lift up your eyes and look north. John chapter 3, verse 5.
Verse 16. Oh, no, sorry. 3:16 is a whole other thing.
Yeah. But I think that there's another way to read it. Lift up your eyes and look north, John.
Yeah. So you noticed that. You noticed that right away in this episode. John Locke does notice that little message, but it does not come for a couple more episodes.
Yeah.
But yes, that's exactly right.
So now we see Locke like marching into the camp. He shows up at his shelter and he starts just tearing it apart. Claire and Charlie are watching, and Claire wants him to find out where Locke's been and where everyone else is. I mean,
What's he doing,
she's
Charlie?
so fucking-
Why is he here, Charlie?
Charlie.
She's so fucking annoying in this
Shut
scene.
up.
She's like a 3-year-old was like, why is that happening? Why is that happening? I'm standing here with you, lady.
Right.
I don't fucking know what's going on.
Right.
firing questions at Charlie that he clearly doesn't have answers to. And then she is like, well, go ask him. Go get the answers.
Oh my God. I got an idea. Claire, why don't you give Charlie a fucking haircut? Because he's rocking a mullet now. I'm not digging that season 3 look.
So Locke is carrying some of his supplies from the shelter over to Echo's church. And Charlie follows and says, so you're gone for a whole day after a massive hatch detonation. You don't call. You don't write.
Okay, Charlie's hilarious in this entire episode. Can we just say that right now?
Yeah, I agree.
He is great.
He's kind of being a fucking twat, but it's funny.
Yes, but it's funny. I think this is the beginning of the redemption of Charlie, right? Like Claire starts it at the end of season 2. She kind of lets him back in, gives him a kiss. And now we're starting off season 3 with like Charlie just being hilariously awesome.
I'm
Yep.
gonna say, any corrections to his behavior are immediately offset by the mullet. In my opinion, as I look at it, you can do no good with a mullet.
Okay, well, it looks
Still
like
not as
Ben's-
bad as Jack's wig, though.
That's
Ben's
true.
gonna be killing Charlie's mullet at the end of this episode.
That might happen.
Or Locke's wig.
I'm gonna have
That
a
one was
threesome
bad.
with his mullet and Jack's wig.
Ew.
Be like an in-betweeners episode.
Oh my God. All right.
Okay, so Locke is ignoring Charlie at first, and then he finally motions to his throat as a signal that he can't speak. He starts gesturing at things, and Charlie's trying to figure out what he means. So this is like the most ridiculous game of charades.
Yeah.
He finally realizes that Locke wants to speak to someone, but he can't figure out who. And Locke starts pointing at things, and Charlie guesses sand, trees, church, sky.
It's just like, yes. I mean, I guess any of those make as much sense as speaking to the island, which is what he figures out.
He does say trees make great conversationalists.
Yeah, he does, which is amazing coming from a hobbit.
Yeah,
Considering
seriously.
the Ents and all of it, it's just so
the whole
perfect.
tree beard. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's great. So finally, Locke draws a circle on the ground and he points at it. And Charlie says, "The island? You need to speak to the island." And Locke says, "Yes."
Yeah, he nods.
Yes.
But he nods, and the look on his face is kind of like, yeah, duh. Like, isn't like what?
I talk
what
to
else
islands
could
all the day, all the time.
Like,
Yeah,
what else
seriously.
can I be talking about?
And then we get to the lost title screen. So now we come back to the beach, and Locke shows up with a Sharpie and a pad of paper. And on it, he has written, "I need your help to stand guard." And he shows it to Charlie. And Charlie's just so pissed off. And he's like, reminds Locke that he detests him after Locke repeatedly punched him in the face and accused him of using heroin when he wasn't. And then Locke writes,
"Yeah, but you did steal a baby."
Yeah,
you did.
I mean,
he
stole a
did
baby.
that.
So,
baby.
that deserved a few punches in the face.
Yeah.
So Locke writes at the sweat lodge, and Charlie asks, "What the sodding hell is the sweat lodge?" And at no point does John even bother to apologize to Charlie.
No. He's on a mission.
Yeah.
Yep.
John Locke is singularly minded.
Yeah. So now we're in flashback number 1. Locke is driving a pickup truck down an old country road, and it is just pouring raining outside. So he stops to pick up a hitchhiker named Eddie,
That's not Eddie. That's Jesse Pinkman.
I know, seriously.
Yes. Yep.
Right? Like, he totally fucking looks like him in the shaved head and everything. I was like, wait.
Yeah,
Jesse Pinkman before there was a Jesse Pinkman.
Right.
Yep.
So Eddie says that he's headed for Eureka, and Locke says he can take him as far as Bridgeville, and he says, "What's in Eureka?" Eddie tells him that he heard that there was work cutting timber, and he needed to get out of town after his mom died, leaving only his drunk father. The rain lets up just as a cop car sounds its siren and pulls Locke over. And Eddie asks Locke if he robbed a bank, and Locke smiles and said, "Afraid so." The sheriff approaches the car and tells Locke that he has a taillight out, and then he asks what's in the truck's bed. And Locke
the response is awesome.
Yeah, Locke says guns and groceries.
Okay. I mean,
right. So,
very American of you.
Yeah, so he makes them get out of the truck, and he lifts up the tarp, and we see all kinds of like random rifles and handguns and groceries. So
who puts open grocery bags in the back of a pickup truck, though? It's weird, but okay.
So
people without a topper, I'm guessing.
Okay, that's fine. I would have thought the front seat, but whatever.
You gotta have Eddie in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So he threatens to ticket Locke for picking up a hitchhiker, and they pretend that Locke is his uncle.
Yeah, and actually Eddie like starts it. He's like, "Oh, that's my uncle," and kind of looks at him, and Locke goes with it, and it's just like easily jumps in on the lie.
Yeah. So once the cops leave and they are back in the truck, Eddie says, "So what's with all the guns, Uncle?" Things that make you go, Back on the island, Locke has built a hut inside the frame of the church. And Charlie's being a smartass, and he's like, "Oh, like an indoor fireplace."
He says it's very snazzy.
Now Locke is busy mixing drugs in a coconut, and Charlie notices the drugs and comments about Locke's zero-tolerance drug policy.
Yeah,
and he's like,
he's got a point.
Yeah, he's like, "Be careful, or you'll have to punch yourself in the face."
I kind of wish Hurley would pop out right now and said, "You put the drugs in the coconut and drink it on."
So Locke shows him the piece of paper again that says that he needs him to stand guard. And Charlie goes, "Yeah, I know. I get it. You're going to go in your little magic hut, and I'm going to stand out here in case you devolve into a monkey." So Locke writes, "Don't come in." And Charlie's like, "Yeah, I won't. Whatever." So we are inside the sweat lodge. We see Locke eating his psychedelic paste and ladling water onto hot stones.
Like, okay, that's hot. I don't know why. I mean, maybe it's like half naked men in their 50s taking psychedelics is my kink. I don't know. But I thought it was hot.
Am I the only one? Floats your boat, you know.
Yeah, seriously. No judgments here.
Right. No kink shaming.
Oh, no. All right.
So, he's ladling water onto hot stones, and then someone suddenly grabs him by the shoulder. The camera pulls back, and we see that it is Boothe.
Hey, he's back. The Boothe is back.
Boothe.
So he says, "Hi, John. It's good to see you again." And Locke's trying to speak, but he can't. And Boone says, "What's that, John? Oh, you're sorry? That's okay. I was the sacrifice the island demanded. Don't worry. You'll speak when you have something worth saying. I'm here to help you find your way again, so you can bring the family back together. Come on, I want to show you something."
Yeah, he's just like very casually. Yeah, I was that sacrifice. The island demanded.
No
This is
problem.
cool.
A little sarcastic, but
Yeah.
Now, Locke is the one who's supposedly tripping balls here, but his eyes look normal. When you look at Boone's eyes, his pupils are friggin' massive. Like, it looks like he was the one that got dosed before the scene.
By this point, I think that he might be a vampire.
Oh, yeah.
The Vampire
Is
Diaries.
that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Was he in that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I never watched that
I've never
show.
seen the show, but it was a really popular show.
Yeah, it wasn't my thing, but, everybody's like, "Oh, my God, swoon."
I think there have got to be millions of people that know him as that role before they would know him as Boothe.
Absolutely.
Got it.
So Locke tries to move his legs, but he can't. And then Boone points to a wheelchair and says that Locke will have to use that.
Yikes.
It gets real trippy, and it changes to Boone pushing Locke through an airport. He tells Locke that someone in this airport is in danger, and Locke is the only one who can save them. Locke looks around and sees other survivors. He points at Charlie, Claire, and Aaron. Boone looks around. Boone says, "Not them. They'll be fine for a while."
Wait, what?
Right.
Okay.
Then Locke points at Sun and Jin, who are arguing, while Saeed is patting Jin on the back. And Boone says, "I think Saeed's got it." Locke points at Hurley, who is now working for Oceanic and entering the numbers into a computer. Not Hurley, Boone says. Desmond walks by dressed as a pilot, surrounded
Looking
by
hot
gorgeous flight
as
attendants.
Fuck. I'm not looking at the flight attendants. I'm looking at Desmond in that
Hell
pilot
yeah.
outfit. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. So now Boone says, "Forget it. He's helping himself."
Ah!
We've got Kate and Sawyer flirting with each other in line, and Jack
Talking about
is getting-
looking hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kate looks hot as fuck in this scene, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sexiness going on in these couple of minutes.
I've never
Oh,
seen
yeah.
that much sexiness in an airport before.
No shit.
Never. No.
So let's see.
Jack is getting wanded
Yeah.
by Ben.
Yeah. Jack's getting wanded by Ben.
That's an unsettling TSA face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You imagine Michael Emerson comes up to you? Oh my God. I'd be like, I'm now officially terrified to fly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I guess so.
So
Yeah, he's only scary. Like, his face is only scary because we know him as Henry Gale, Ben Linus. I don't
Yeah.
think his face is scary otherwise.
Well, I do.
Oh,
Stuff
well,
with
excuse
nightmares.
me. Okay.
So Boone says, "There's nothing you can do for them. Not yet. First, you have to clean up your own mess." And then Boone is suddenly at the top of 3 escalators, and Locke starts dragging himself up the escalators with his arm. When he gets to the top, there's a pool of blood with Echo's Jesus stick lying in it. Boone says, "Clean it up, John." Suddenly, Boone appears bloody, exactly as he looked in Locke's dream from Deus Machina. And he says, "They've got him. You don't have much time." Now Locke is back in the sweat lodge. He tries to exit when a snarling polar bear face lunges at him. He stumbles out of the sweat lodge, picks up a knife, and tells Charlie he's going to save Echo's life.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Very strange sequence.
yeah, it's really weird. Now we've got Locke and Charlie walking through the jungle when Locke finds Echo's cross in the bushes. Locke says he was dragged away from there by a polar bear. Charlie's like, "Sawyer,
How the hell he decided that?
Yeah.
Yeah. How would he know?
I don't know.
Okay.
So Charlie's like, "Well, Sawyer killed the polar bear," and Locke says he killed a polar bear.
So
Oh.
if there's two polar bears, is that bipolar?
So they come up on a pool of blood, and Locke tells Charlie to go back to Claire. Charlie argues and says, "You don't want to go with me, Charlie. Bad things happen to people who hang around with me." And at this point, I feel like truth. Charlie should yell, "Don't tell me what I can't do."
Yeah. And I want you to note what Locke's phrase right there, "Bad things happen to people who hang around with me." Just think about that as the episode progresses.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So now we're in flashback number 2. Locke and Eddie pull up to a dirt driveway, and a boy opens a gate to let them in. Locke hands the boy a bag of candy and calls him Body. They park next to a large tent-like structure, and Eddie asks about it, and Locke tells him that that's their sweat lodge. Eddie's confused by this, and Locke explains that you're supposed to go in and figure out what to do with your life, as in a farmer or a hunter. And Eddie asks, "So which are you, John?" Now the scene switches to this huge group of people sitting at a picnic table getting ready to eat. Locke introduces Eddie to Mike and Jan. They tell Eddie that Locke is a very special guy and any friend of his is welcome. Mike looks at Eddie's band shirt and says, "So, you like Geronimo Jackson, huh?" Eddie's like, "Oh, it's my dad's old shirt." Mike introduces Eddie to the group and asks Locke if he wants to say grace. Locke says, "Thank you, Lord. Thank you for the food and the friends. And thanks for the rain today so that Adam will stop grumbling about the drought. And for me, thank you for helping me to stop being so angry and for helping me to find a real family because they're a hell of a lot better than the one I used to have. So let's eat. Amen." They begin to eat and Eddie leans into Locke and whispers, "Thank you. Thank you."
He seems super genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, my
At first
cousin,
I thought this was like a cult or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A commune. Yeah. My cousin lived on like a hippie commune that grew weed for a while. Actually, twice. One in Florida and one in Vermont. I guess it's a thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah.
Just tending to weed and not having to deal with like other stuff. I don't know. Sounds like a great job.
Yeah.
Or life, I guess.
Back on the island, Locke and Charlie come across a giant hole in the ground. Charlie is like, "Is that the hatch?" And Locke says, "Yeah, what's left of it. It looks like it imploded."
Ana Lucia is back. The spirit of her just digging everywhere.
So they keep walking and they find a dead boar lying on the ground. Locke says it looks like an active kill, meaning whatever's been eating it is going to come back for more. And then he bends over and picks up a tuft of white hair just as they hear growling. Locke shouts, "Run!" And they take off
run
in the
from
jungle
the polar bear.
with a polar bear in hot pursuit.
Hot pursuit. Polar bear.
Polar, yeah.
So they run for a minute and then they stop and look around and they hear rustling nearby. Fucking Locke. He pulls out a knife and he throws it. And we hear a scream. "Ah!"
Which I don't think polar bears make that noise.
No. So Locke pulls some branches aside and Hurley's standing there holding a canteen and Locke's knife is in it. Hurley is like shocked and he goes, Dude. So now Hurley's walking through the jungle with Locke and Charlie. And he's telling them what happened on the pier and that Henry is the leader of the others and that they have Kate, Jack, and Sawyer. Locke tells Hurley, "Go back to the beach and tell everyone." And Hurley's like, "Well, what are you guys doing?" And Charlie says, "The island told Locke he has to save Echo. Apparently a bear's got him, and it just made an active kill. You might want to hustle."
What? Charlie is just so fucking great in this episode.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. It's so funny. So now Locke and Charlie keep walking. They find more tufts of white hair. And Charlie says, "You know, when I used to get high, I'd watch nature programs on the Beeb. Polar bears are meant to be quite clever, very clever. They're like the Einsteins of the bear community."
Is that true?
I normally think of Einstein as clever. I mean, he was a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Locke ignores him and he walks up to the entrance of the bear's cave. They both stare inside. And then we go to flashback number 3. Locke and Eddie are walking through the commune and they pass a young, pretty woman. Eddie teases Locke that she's into him, but Locke disagrees, saying that she's half his age. Eddie says that he's not into Lizzie. What she really wants is a daddy, like everyone else there, and Locke should take advantage of that. Locke does not find this funny, and to be quite frank, I don't either. That's fucking gross.
Yeah. Ew.
Yeah. So Eddie asks Locke why he never talks about his dad as they're grabbing some baskets to go peach picking. And Locke says there's nothing worth talking about. In the background, we see people carrying bags of fertilizer into a greenhouse, and Eddie wonders if they need help. Locke tells him, we're on orchard duty. Then Eddie asks why someone stops him whenever he goes near the greenhouse. And Locke says, look, you're a guest here. These things take time. Eddie says, I've been here for 6 weeks, and I'm not blind. And then he brings up the guns that Locke had when they first met. He comments on whatever they're trying to blow up, and he says he wants in. Locke laughs at him and says, I'll talk to Mike and Jan.
I mean, there's some serious trouble signs with this kid, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
First of all,
obviously.
he's like, take advantage of this young girl who may have daddy issues, and 2, I want to blow some shit up. I'd be like, maybe you're not right for this commune.
I'm also just laughing at the idea of like Locke being involved in some sort of terrorist cell.
Yeah.
Right.
Seriously.
That's not his thing. So Locke's preparing to enter the cave, and Charlie questions whether Echo's in there. Locke's like, go back to the camp. And Charlie gets mad and says to Locke, don't tell me what I can't do. And I'm like, oh, there it is.
There we go.
So Locke claims that Charlie has no reason to go in there. And when Charlie claims the same, Locke says, I'm going in there because I'm supposed to go in there.
We all know how the shit you're supposed to do works out, Locke.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now Locke's putting mud on his face and his arms, and Charlie wonders if they'll even see the bear in there. Locke says hopefully the bear won't smell them. Then he grabs a spray can of hairspray, lights a torch, and he pulls out his knife and walks inside.
Yes, hairspray, the bane of all polar bears.
Yeah.
I think Charlie says something hilarious too about like when he picks up the hairspray and he's like, I hate to be the one to tell you. Locke is like, it's not for me.
So Hurley's walking through the jungle and he hears some rustling and he goes, Bear, is that you?
Oh my God.
Bear.
This is such a funny scene. And then naked Desmond stands up and Hurley's like, whoa, dude. Desmond tells him the camp is just over there and he asks for some clothes. He's like, I woke up in the jungle like this. So Hurley responds, so like the hatch blew off your underwear?
What?
Desmond asks Hurley if he wants to discuss this in great detail right now while stepping closer.
Actually, yes, I do, Desmond. Yeah. Let me check all your details.
Hurley pulls out a big tie-dyed shirt and he hands it to Desmond, who holds it up. And it's just a bit large for him, but, make it work.
It's like a moo-moo.
Yeah. Now Locke walks into the cave carrying his torch. He's got a duck so that he doesn't hit his head. And he stumbles over something and leans down to investigate. And it's a yellow toy dump truck.
Tonka truck.
Tonka. Flashback number 4. Locke is walking up to the greenhouse, which is guarded. And he asks if Mike and Jan are inside. And is told that they were looking for him. So they let Locke inside. We see that Mike and Jan are growing marijuana.
Ooh.
It's just a lot more controversial.
Yeah.
When this came out than it is now.
Many years before legalization started happening.
Right.
Yep.
So they're busy boxing up files and bags of pot. They're talking about what to do with the cash and the bank records. When they see Locke, they tell him that he screwed up big time.
Jesus Christ, how many times has John Locke been conned in his life?
Seriously.
He's like the most gullible person. And
apparently.
Yeah. And his powers of denial are staggering.
Yeah.
So, they shove a file at him and tell him that Eddie's a cop and he was waiting for Locke to pick him up on the side of the road and bring him here. Mike says, he played you like a sucker. Now it's over. Locke begs them to stay, saying that they have no idea how much Eddie knows. He says it's not too late for me to fix this. And Mike asks, how are you going to do that, John? So, yeah.
You know, I feel like Mike and Jan should take a little bit of responsibility for this, because if you're like, I mean,
they welcomed Eddie as well.
I mean, that's the thing.
Right.
It's like, you know, he picked him up on the side of the road. Like, why are you just bringing strangers into your situation when you're growing marijuana? Like, it just seems stupid. A little more security, maybe, Mike.
Yeah, maybe do background checks on people before you invite them to.
Or just like not invite people who are hitchhiking into your commune.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So now Locke is deeper in the cave. There are bones of all kinds of animals, including humans. One of them who is dressed in a Dharma Initiative Pearl logo jumpsuit. Locke then spots Echo on the ground, who is barely conscious. They see each other, and then Echo is dragged away. Locke grabs his arm and throws a rock at the polar bear's head.
Yeah.
The bear lets go, and Locke blasts it with fire using the hairspray and the torch.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The bear runs off, and Locke drags Echo out of the cave. He tells Charlie that Echo's alive, and they've got to get out of there.
Do you think if you zapped a bear with some fire like that, he wouldn't? What do you think he would do? Still just attack?
I think I'm not sure, because I don't know how bears respond to light changes like that and
or
the
fire.
noise. Yeah, my guess is like if it was in the cave or something like that and it were really dark, it might startle them because of the maybe even the sound or the light itself. But my guess is if you're close enough to actually burn him, then that was the last thing you ever did. Because like if they're already that close, then no amount of fire is going to make them stop coming forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if you had a flamethrower, that's one thing, but a little Aquanet can and a lighter, I just don't really see that doing the trick. Those things are fucking massive.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I ever saw a polar bear in real life, like in a zoo, and I was just in shock at how massive
They're so big.
a creature they are.
Gigantic.
Yeah.
So Desmond and Hurley are walking through the jungle, and he's trying to explain the failsafe key to Hurley, who's like, well, why didn't you just use it in the first place? And Desmond's like, I didn't know what would happen. So Hurley asks, so what did happen? Desmond said it must have detonated the electromagnetic anomaly, causing an implosion. Hurley wonders if Desmond will now turn into the Hulk. Now, Hurley tells Desmond that while he was fail-safing in the hatch, the sky turned purple, the island vibrated, and Jack, Kate, and Sawyer got kidnapped. Desmond says, don't worry, Locke's going to go after them. He said so in his speech.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Hurley's confused, and he says all Locke was talking about was Echo and bears. Desmond realizes that he's confused, and he just says, I'm just shook up.
Mm-hmm.
Can we not skip over the fact that Desmond in that giant tie-dyed shirt in this scene walking around, he looks like a little kid who like got into his dad's closet or something.
Yeah. He looks like a little kid walking around Woodstock.
Yeah.
Right?
Or a hippie commune.
Oh, there you go. All right.
So Charlie and Locke are carrying Echo back to camp. Locke says that he burned the bear pretty bad and doesn't think that it'll be following.
Really? Really?
That to me is just like one of those lines that they just did not need to include in the episode.
Yeah, it was dumb.
It strains credulity.
So now Charlie wants to know what Locke saw in the tent. And he says that it was Boone telling him to clean up his mess. Charlie's like, I agree with Boone. And that Locke should never have stopped pushing the button.
Okay,
Locke says,
Captain Hindsight.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
So Locke's like, yeah, Charlie, that's what cleaning up your own mess means.
Oh, okay.
Charlie
Sassy
replies,
Locke.
spoken like someone who's had a few too many messes to clean.
Okay,
That's
mullets
true.
here. I'm about to beat your ass.
Yeah. Okay, heroin addict, you know?
Seriously.
Baby thief.
Baby thief.
Shut
Asian
your
hate
hobbit
crime
trap.
perpetrator.
You won, everybody.
Terrible song singer.
It's the answer to everything.
Yep.
All right, flashback number 5. Locke and Eddie are out in the woods deer hunting, and Eddie asks if Locke has talked to Mike and Jan yet.
Why is he wearing white while he's deer hunting?
Yeah.
Why is it everyone in the show that's out for blood wear white?
Oh,
well,
I don't get it.
I guess the white is probably not the best idea, but you should actually be wearing hunter orange, that bright orange, because deer are colorblind.
Yeah, and that
is
and
that what that orange is about? The
aren't.
deer can't see it, but other hunters can?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
when you're
Didn't know
hunting
that.
turkey, you need to be wearing camouflage.
Yeah.
Turkeys see orange?
Yeah.
Huh.
My dad used to
Interesting.
hunt, so.
Yeah.
I always found hunting would be boring.
It is.
Yeah.
Just sitting there in that.
Yeah.
Just
It
waiting
depends.
for something
It depends
to come
on the
by
type
so you
of
can kill
hunting.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's like there's actual hunting, like tracking, which I think would be interesting. But then the way most people hunt that I've been around are basically sitting around waiting for deer to come to their feeders so they can blast them. It's like fishing
Yeah.
for deer. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, you're a great
You
hunter.
outsmarted the deer.
Yeah, seriously. It's like literally they'll spend hundreds, like they'll put a feeder with like 200 or 100 pounds of corn in there and feed them for months and months and months and just get them in the pattern of going there, and then one morning you just go out and shoot them. That's what hunting was in
Sportsmanship.
Texas. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it because there is actually like game control and things like that. But people that fancy themselves like great hunters or whatever because they have some trophies, like no, I think you're a great hunter if you're like if you can track and you don't need a bunch of gadgets and things like that. Yeah, use a bow, get up close.
Right.
Yep.
You're not the
Make it
predator, my
sporting.
friend.
But if you're going to use a bow,
Yeah.
you have to be really, really fucking good.
You do.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't go out there trying to kill something if you're not accomplished at it. Like,
Right.
Because if you hit something with an arrow and it just takes off, like it could live with that arrow in it for a really long time, and that's really
cruel.
inhumane.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
So back in the woods with Locke and Eddie, Locke says that Mike and Jan said to bring Eddie to the greenhouse tonight. Locke points into the distance, and when Eddie turns, he raises his rifle towards him. Eddie turns around and Locke asks if he knew that it would be Locke who picked him up that day. And Eddie pretends not to understand what Locke's talking about and slowly raises his rifle. Locke tells him that it's not loaded and asks again if that was the plan. Eddie comes clean and tells Locke that he was chosen because he didn't have a criminal record, he hadn't been there for very long, and a psych profile said he'd be amenable for coercion.
That's the truth.
Where did this psych
Ouch.
profile come from? Like if they had never worked up papers on him before, if he's never been in the system, then why do the cops have a psych profile for him?
Yeah.
Well, because they're studying everyone in the commune and looking for the weakest link.
Yeah.
Is there another cop there that's been doing psych profiles on him?
Yeah,
I mean, maybe, or they just went into their history. They did the best they could trying to find. I mean, I can understand that. If you're sending someone in undercover, you're going to try to find the weakest link so you would
Maybe
have
his
files.
father conned him out of a kidney, so.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and that, his girlfriend was like, no, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
So Eddie wants Locke to lower his gun. Locke is tearing up, and Eddie starts backing away, and he tells Locke that he's not going to shoot him because he's a farmer. Nope, not a farmer. I was a hunter. I am a hunter, Locke says.
Oh, cringe.
You know, and he doesn't
I-
say it how you just did. He delivers the line like a pathetic little wimp trying to convince himself of that, which
Yeah.
is sad.
Yeah. So Eddie tells him that he's going to walk away now. He turns his back on Locke, and he leaves.
Ouch.
Yeah. Locke lowers his rifle and watches him leave.
Ugh.
No hunter.
Ugh. All of that is just painful,
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
I mean,
Locke
amenable
episode.
for coercion. Somebody tells you you're amenable for coercion. I mean,
Yeah.
that's fucked
Yeah.
up.
That means
It
you're a
is fucked up,
sucker.
especially
When you're
after
a
you
sucker.
lost your kidney, because he knows, fuck, you're right. And look, I was the one who brought you in here, and
Yeah.
now I've wrecked everything.
And how
Yeah.
did he know that he was going to pick up a hitchhiker? I would never pick up a hitchhiker.
Again, I guess they
Coercion.
I
the
would
thumb
imagine,
forced them to pick him up.
yeah, that there's some kind of profile saying like this would at least be our best bet
Yeah.
on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Locke and Charlie are still carrying Echo. They think they hear a stream, so they put Echo down so Charlie can go look for water. Locke speaks to the unconscious Echo and says, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I ever doubted you. Sorry I gave up on my faith in the island. I messed up. Now our people are captured. If I'd just listened to you, if I'd just let you keep pushing the button, I could have gone with them, protected them. I could have saved them. His expression here goes from a distraught smile, thinking about how he could have protected him. It's like distraught to a smile, thinking that he could have protected him and saved them. And I think it's really fucking creepy.
Oh, that's sort of like Locke grin that he does.
Smile,
yeah. He's distraught that he didn't go with them, and he could have saved them. And then as he's thinking about how he could have saved them, he gets that creepy smile. It's weird. Echo comes to, and he responds, you can still protect them. You can still save them. John says that he doesn't even know where they are, and Echo says, you will find them. After all, you are a hunter, John.
What?
Charlie comes back.
Honestly, he's so amenable to coercion that, literally just anything, any sort of reinforcement to Locke, and he's gung-ho.
Yeah.
It's yep.
So Charlie comes back and asks Locke if he was talking, and Locke says, yeah, Echo's awake, but then they both look and he's unconscious again. So they decide to keep moving towards the camp.
Was he really talking to him?
I don't know.
Little after
he's been trying to communicate with the island, right?
Yep.
Oh,
so they arrive back at the camp. Claire's the first to see them. And then, oh my God, Nikki and Paolo show up.
Here comes Nikki and Paolo.
Yes.
And Derek's like, oh my God, that's it? These are the people you've been talking about for 2 fucking seasons?
So Paolo wants to know what happened. And she says that they need to get Jack. Hurley's there and tells them that Jack's not coming back because the others have him. Claire wants to know if they got Sun.
Isn't it kind of crazy how it's just all of a sudden Paolo's just there and he's just piping up. He's just part of the everything. You're like,
he was the extras forever.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. So this actually, the writing of Nikki and Paolo is actually, according to the writers of the show, a direct response to fan criticism over the first 2 seasons when they were like, people were just going like, okay, how are there just these other survivors that you never see, never talk to, what they're like not a part of anything? And it was like something that fans had been saying.
Yeah, I read that after I saw this episode.
Right.
So they were requested.
They were fan requested. And so when the writers responded to the fans and they write Nikki and Paolo in, basically will lead to the worst characters and the worst episode of Lost ever in the history of the entire show. So that's, I think, a clue to writers of a TV show is like, don't do what the fans tell you to do.
Right.
Anyways, keep going.
So Hurley's there. He tells them that Jack's not coming back because the others have him. Claire wants to know if they got Sun, Jin, and Saeed as well. Locke says, I'm going to find our friends. I don't know how yet, but I will. We're going to find them, all of them, and then we're going to bring them home.
Whoa.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Desmond's standing by the water's edge, throwing rocks into the ocean, when Charlie says to Hurley, not a bad speech.
What?
Right.
I had the same reaction as Hurley.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Hurley stares at Desmond in shock and says, whoa, I just got hit with deja vu. And that's it. Lost title screen, end of episode.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. All right. I guess I'd say it now since we did shout them out in the beginning of this episode, but Ado and Dave will be here with us for Expose. Fun facts today. Who wants to learn about polar bears?
Woohoo!
Yes.
Apparently they're very clever.
I've heard that.
They might be going extinct.
They are the Einstein of bears. Yes, you are correct. They are definitely in danger. These polar bear facts are being brought to you by the World Wildlife Foundation. And if you would like to help polar bears, you can reach out to that organization.
I thought WWF was World Wrestling Federation. Oh, wait, there was a big lawsuit about that, actually.
Yeah, there really was, yeah. All right, so polar bears are the only bear species classified as a marine mammal because they spend most of their lives on the sea ice of the Arctic Ocean, and they depend on the ocean for their food and habitat. So they are considered a marine mammal, just like a seal or something like that.
Cool.
So, yeah, isn't that cool? So the polar bear population is approximately 26,000 bears. They are divided into 19 different subpopulations. 9 of those we don't have very good data on, but one out of the rest of them, the other 10, one subpopulation is increasing in numbers, 5 are stable, and 4 are in decline. Polar bear skin is actually black, and its fur is translucent. It only appears white because it reflects the visible light of the Arctic and everything up there. Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So male polar bears weigh up to 1,800 pounds.
God,
Jesus.
They can grow to be enormous. They can grow to be 10 feet long and are twice the size of females. They are the largest bear and the largest land carnivore in the world, in the entire
I imagine they'd
planet.
have to be like, they'd have to have a lot of weight just if you're a marine mammal, like in waters like that. I imagine they'd have to be
Lots of
Well, right,
huge
like a
to not
seal
just freak.
or right, or
Yeah.
an orca or something, yeah, or any of the whales that live in those cold temperatures. Yeah, you're going to have to have a lot of mass of fat, basically,
Yep.
so that you don't freeze to death. Yeah. Okay, this one got me. I did not know this. Polar bears can constantly swim for days at a time. They can reach speeds of up to 6 miles per hour in the water. Their enormous paws are specially adapted for swimming, which they use to paddle through the water while they hold their hind legs flat and use them as a rudder.
Wow.
I know, isn't that cool?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Days.
Polar bears can smell their prey nearly 2 miles away, and they can detect a seal in the water beneath 3 feet of ice. So if they're walking on the frozen tundra, they can smell a seal that's in the water through 3 feet of ice.
Wow.
How fucking crazy is that? I know.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine when one of the other bears farts. Oof. I'll have to smell that.
All right,
That's like,
last fact.
that's like Frank from Population 4. Jesus.
Okay, last fact of the day. It is not about polar bear farts. Here's something that you probably did not know. Polar bears are terrible hunters. Only 2% of their hunts are actually successful. They spend their entire lives, basically just trying to get food. Their main prey is seals. And what they will do is break into a pup den and, raid it, basically, for pups. That's how they get their food. It's pretty brutal. And they also will scavenge carcasses or eat birds, eggs, and even plants, vegetation when they're really hungry. If they can't, successfully hunt. But once they're hungry enough, I guess they just bust into pup dens and have a smorgasbord, which is like terrifying to think of. But all right, there's polar bear facts.
Persistence trumps talent, I guess.
Yeah. All right, shall we do some moments, best and worst? Let's start with Ben. What'd you think of further instructions?
The best moment was just the speech at the end, and when Hurley kind of, it dawns on him that's what Locke was, or that's what Desmond was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So I think the worst moment for me was when Eddie says that he was that Locke was amenable for coercion. That was just like the biggest gut
Ouch.
punch. Yeah.
That's an ouch moment. Mine were basically the same as yours. I wrote down when at the end when Hurley says like, "Whoa, that's deja vu." And for the worst moment, I just had more of realization, like when Locke, when it dawns on him that he's been conned again.
Again, yeah.
Just like, my God, I can barely take it. Christy, what did you have down?
My best moment is when Hurley's walking through the jungle and he hears the rustling and he goes, "Bear, is that you?"
Yes.
And my worst moment with Claire firing all those questions at Charlie.
Oh God, I know.
The whole episode is just how annoying is Claire.
I just find, for some reason, I'm finding her a little insufferable. You know?
Yeah. Indeed. Derek, what about you? What were your best and worst?
Yeah, my best was the speech, and because I pretty much had the same reaction as Hurley. I was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?"
Hey.
And then my worst was when Locke was, he realized he was tricked again by that undercover cop wanting to bust the pot farm. He got suckered again.
It's like, I want to feel for him, and I do feel for him. But again, at some point, it's like, when are you going to wise up? Yeah. Like,
when are you going to stop being coerced?
But and he's always like, "No, I can fix this. I can fix this. I can fix this." So that's why I'm like, his powers of denial are just staggering. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Of course, the one thing that he could have fixed in his life was his relationship with Helen. And he doesn't.
And he fucked that up.
And he fucks that up. Yeah. My God, Locke. All right. How about best and worst characters and fucking kill? Derek, let's keep going with you.
My best was Hurley, number one, because, I mean, he was just funny as hell. Like what Christy said with Bear. Is that you?
It's pretty great.
Then I liked Charlie, because he had a lot of nice, smart-ass comments all episode.
Uh-huh.
And then Echo, just to fill out the best three, because he was kind of like the speech he gave, or the response he gave to Locke about, "You can fix this, you're a hunter."
Sure.
And the worst was Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, I mean, I don't know, he's just a piece of shit. The second worst,
he's a cop.
I just didn't like him.
He's a cop.
He's a cop.
He's doing his job.
Yeah, he was.
Fuck it.
Yeah. Second worst was Polar Bear. Because how do you let a can of hairspray take you down?
Seriously, that polar bear had a lot of quit in him.
I mean, you got 1,800 pounds and a little can of hairspray.
Like, Aquanet.
You see why you're such a shitty hunter.
And then Christy will like my third worst, Paulo.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Who are you fucking killing?
I'm actually going to fuck Nikki because, she's new and she didn't really, I don't think she even had a line, did she? Did she even say anything?
Yeah, she was like, "We got to get Jack."
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll kill Eddie.
Okay. Mine are going to be kind of funny because I had the polar bear in my top. Just for the fucking straight comic relief. I had Charlie as number one, again, for comic relief, and the polar bear as number two. And then my worst, I had Eddie, and I wrote next to them, "You fucking bastard, it's weed, relax."
Seriously.
There are more important things to bust.
I know. And then second and third worst, I had Nikki and Paolo. Shut the fuck up. Who are you people? Get out of here. I want nothing to do with you. I am, however, even though Eddie was a weed busting cop, I am going to fuck him and Locke. I'm going to have a threesome with the two of them in the weed tent. That's what...
Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't find anybody that I wanted to kill after this episode. I found it just hilarious, silly episode. And so I didn't feel the need to kill anybody. Christy, what were your rankings?
So Hurley is my top, and then Desmond. And I just kind of left it at that.
I don't know why that's so fun. And I just left it at that. There are no other good characters in this entire episode.
Bottom three, Eddie, John, and Charlie. I just felt like, John with his,
you hated Charlie this episode.
He was annoying because he just kept being a dick to John to Locke. And I know that Locke kind of deserved it, but, stop beating a dead horse,
Oh, well. All right.
Oh my God, you're a
that's
horse?
valid.
I'm gonna fuck Desmond.
Well, Locke was beating Charlie, so.
Yeah.
It's true.
I'm gonna fuck
Wait,
Desmond.
who are you fucking?
Desmond.
Oh, yeah.
Naked Desmond running through the jungle.
And
I'm gonna kill Paolo.
Okay. Ben.
Already.
Fuck you, Paolo.
Yeah.
Ben,
top
why don't
three.
you give us yours and then update us after that?
My top is John, even though he was once again sort of just a tool. I feel his pain. You know, the dude's sort of a mark, and but I believe him. I thought the acting was actually really good, and I just liked his performance in the show.
I criticized him just a few minutes ago for that too, but I guess like what am I asking him to do? Like be more cynical?
Yeah,
like,
not be his character.
Right. But like, I mean, that's, I guess, the unfortunate part about being an altruistic, trusting person is that you are easily taken advantage of. Yeah.
Yeah. And in a rare choice here, I've got Charlie in second place. Even though he was being a little shit, he was actually fairly funny through most of it. So usually he's just annoying to me, but he was actually pretty funny in this one. And then I got Hurley to round out the top three. The bottom, I've got Claire because they're Charlie, go here. Charlie, what are they doing? Charlie asked me to say, shut the fuck up. Oh my God. Shut up, Claire. And then I've got Paolo in second place just because his face makes me want to beat him. I don't have a third place. I'm gonna for my fuck. I'm actually gonna take Kate in the airport to the airport stall,
nice.
and then I'm imagining Nikki just walks in and is like, oh, you must be here to fix the cable or something, that sort of scenario.
You must be here to fix the cable.
I didn't kill anyone in this episode. Same reason as you, Lacy. Like it was sort of this episode was kind of a farce, so it didn't really inspire a whole lot of bloodlust,
murderous rage.
Yeah.
All right, and then where does that land us after?
It doesn't really change anything. It doesn't really change anything. We still got Sawyer in first place with 32 points. Juliet in second place with 20, and Kate in third place with 16. We still have Jack in last place with negative 20 points. Mr. P in second to last place with, where is he? Negative 16 points. And then we actually have Eddie tying Danny for the bottom three, or for the third worst.
Poor Eddie.
Narcs and dad jeans in the bottom.
Yeah.
All right, keep going, Ben. Give us your final impressions after episode 3, Further Instructions.
I think after, it's been sort of a downward trajectory since the first episode of this season. First episode was good. Second episode was kind of all right. And this one is, I don't know. It was only okay. There was like the entire thing with like the bear and Echo. I'm just finding myself like not necessarily caring about the storyline all that much. And all in all, I just thought it was, I don't know. I didn't really dig this episode. And I think I'm going to have sort of the same over the next few episodes, because I think this feels like a bit of a low point in season 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Like I said at the beginning of this season, and I will always say, I still think season 3 is underrated. But yeah, it does seem to take a quick dip right after such a bold opening as episode 1. It kind of goes like a little bit of a lull. For me personally, I think some of the stuff that happens toward the end of the season redeems the entire season. But again, I mean, that's my final impression. I guess after having seen the show a few times, maybe I'll feel differently this time around. But after this episode, for me, my final impression was just more like, Jesus fucking Christ, Locke can't catch a break. I mean, it's just depressing. Like, how many times is he going to be taken advantage of? How does this man interact with human beings at all on any level?
He's just he's always grasping like at something.
Yeah.
He's a seeker.
It's really funny that you said that, because we're watching right now season 2 of The Vow, which talks about NXIVM and the NXIVM cult. And they're interviewing some of the like former sort of, well, we would call them cult members. They still seem brainwashed, but every single one of them has been taken in by this cult, and I've listened to other like cult survivors. That's how they describe themselves. Like, oh, I was a seeker. And that's the thing is like, if you open yourself up to like genuinely seek things, you are also opening yourself up, I think, to being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And that's just so obvious with Locke's character. It's getting to the point where for me, it's like, it's hard to watch it. It's just so heartbreaking. Like, my God.
And especially if you're seeking community and family and a place to belong, it's very, very easy to, get taken in.
Yeah.
Like Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, exactly like that. Like any cult. As far as this episode, Charlie shined, which I love. Again, I'm forever defensive of Charlie, as well as season 3. So I loved this episode because I just thought that he was on top of it. It leaves me ready for next week. But again, I mean, I'm a little bit like, okay, the opening was so strong, and sort of where are we right now? Yeah, it leaves me there too. Christy, what about you? How did you feel after this episode?
I didn't feel like it was the best episode. I didn't feel like that it did much to advance the plot, but at least I get to start killing Nikki and Paolo.
Always on the bright side. That's
always
Christy.
A silver lining.
All right,
My
Derek.
Funny disposition.
Derek, how about you? What were your final impressions? What questions do you have here for us in the beginning of season 3?
Yep, my notes said exactly like what Ben said. I thought it was an okay episode. Kind of weird with the sweat tent and the trip and all that. And, I mean, Charlie was redeeming. It was funny, so that made at least Charlie and Hurley actually, kind of kept it going. I said the polar bear still looks bad, though. The CGI was still crappy. You would think after 3 seasons, they got more money, they could make that bear look better.
I know.
That's how the bear ended up in my top rankings, because it's just too fucking funny.
I almost feel like when they cut to it, it should just be like the Coca-Cola polar bears. Like, just cut to it, and it's like,
wait a second. They've been doing that since the 90s. Like, how is this polar bear so bad?
But at least all the characters that were in the hatch are alive, even if one of them was missing his clothes.
Yeah.
I thought that was a highlight,
Yeah, please. Desmond naked in every episode. Hello.
So 2 biggest questions. Apparently Desmond knows the future, so how is that possible? And where did the polar bears come from?
My goodness, these are 2 questions that will be answered.
One of them was already answered. Polar bears come from the Arctic.
Yeah.
How they get to this damn island?
We just fucking went over that,
cargo
Derek.
plane with bears.
Seriously, risotto and polar bears.
Yeah,
those are questions that will be answered. The polar bear thing comes more with the Dharma history. I don't know exactly when that'll be answered, but Desmond. And what's up with that? We will find more out. Stay tuned for the next few episodes coming up in season 3. Not the next 2 that I know you've watched, but it is explored this season. Not next week. Next week, we've got Lost in My 40s season 3, episode 4. It's Every Man for Himself. It is a Sawyer episode, and it's a Derek episode. And we'll see you there next week. All right? Bye.
Bye.
Lost in My 40s is a Spacebear Media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacy J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trimp. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook to interact with your hosts. Plus, follow Spacebear Media on YouTube to watch our episode pre-shows. You can also find us at Spacebear_media on Instagram and Twitter. Or come to our website, spacebearmedia.com.